Hey there, this is Michael Blank, and welcome to the training where we're going to talk about how you can build your real estate empire, how to really scale with real estate. And the way we're going to do it is with apartments. And it's not going to be with flips or rentals. We're going to explore that in this entire training, why that's the case and why that's impossible and how to do it. And in this first video, I'm going to completely rewire how you think about real estate investing, because the truth is you can't scale with single family houses. If you're flipping or buying rentals, you're not building freedom. You're only kind of basically building another job. And today I'm going to show you a faster, more scalable, and surprisingly less risky way to build wealth and quit your job in the next 1 to 2 years. It's the same strategy that helped me and hundreds of our students become financially free with real estate. And you're going to learn the real reason multifamily is, in fact, the ultimate wealth builder, the easiest way to actually become financially free. And I'm going to show you how to use syndications and other people's money to do million-dollar deals. And we're going to dispel a lot of the myths that you think you know about apartment buildings that's probably going to hold you back from even getting started. So in this first video, we're going to show you kind of what this entire training is going to do. So make sure you don't skip this so you get a good overview and a frame for what we're about to do here over the next several hours. I love this quote by Andrew Carnegie. You probably heard of him, one of the richest people of our modern age. And, you know, BC says that 90% of all millionaires become so through owning real estate. And so we want to study that. How do these people actually really build wealth? And, you know, I think the thing that all started for me and maybe for you is this Purple Book, right? Robert Kiyosaki, right? So if you've read this book, then most people who read this book, they think that the best way to invest in real estate is buying single family rentals or flipping houses. That's what I did. And maybe that's what you did as well, or maybe you're thinking about doing that. But with flipping houses, it's actually a lot of work. And if you stop buying and fixing houses, you stop making money. Well, that's not passive income, right? And what about rentals? The problem with rentals, if you do the math, you'd have to own a lot of them, 10, 20, even 50 houses to really kind of cover your living expenses. And so it's not really scalable. And so when my biggest challenge when I first got started with investing in real estate was one of scale. I flipped 36 houses and I thought I was pretty accomplished, but how could I scale that, right? Or how could I scale my rental portfolio? Now, since leaving my job in 2005, I've tried nearly everything in pursuit of financial freedom. I've flipped houses, I've had rentals, bought apartment buildings, I traded options for 18 months, and I've done a software startup, and I got into the restaurant franchise business. So I checked off a lot of the boxes on what people might be able to do to become financially free, but all of them had some kind of fundamental flaw, except one, and that is apartment buildings. It was really the only strategy that was the most scalable. It was also the most passive and the least risky out of all the strategies I've tried, and I've tried a lot of them. So if you want to scale your real estate investing, then you're going to invest in the right kind of real estate, and you got to invest in the right way. So I'm going to build on Rich Dad Poor Dad here in this training and share with you the real estate strategy that does actually allow you to become financially free, not in 10 or 20 years, but in 1 to 2 years. And so the problem is that most investors don't follow the most direct path to financial freedom. Certainly I didn't. You know, you'll flip some houses, buy some rentals, get into short-term rentals, and then you discover that they take a long time to replace your income. And as you'll see in a minute when I tell you more about my story, I took a very convoluted path to financial freedom as well. And there's a long, hard, and arduous way to get to financial freedom, but it's completely unnecessary. The path has already been blazed. So what I want to do in this training is to help you find the most direct path to financial freedom, the one that is easier and faster and arguably also the most enjoyable than any other investing strategy out there that you've tried or are thinking of trying. And so my goal in this training is to help you create clarity for your path forward. So you know exactly what to do and how to do it so you can make better decisions about this strategy versus this strategy and so forth. So clarity is my goal. Clarity on which real estate strategy to use, the actual vehicle you're going to use to build wealth. What is that vehicle? What is the best one? And then hopefully I'll convince you of that vehicle, and then the clarity on how to actually use it, how to drive that vehicle to actually become financially free, right? So as you may already suspect, that vehicle I'm going to try to persuade you of in this training is to use multifamily apartment buildings to do that. And we have a lot of things to unpack, because when I say that, a lot of objections come up and hesitations about various things. And we're going to talk about that here. In fact, we'll talk a lot about things here today. So what I'm going to do in this training is I want to show you the right way to scale your real estate. And whether you've actually done a real estate transaction or not Doesn't really matter, okay? What we want to do is we want to scale with real estate. What's the best path to do that? I'm gonna show you how to basically get your first large property under contract in as little as the next 180 days, so you can become financially free in the next 1 to 2 years. That's a big promise, but I've been doing this since 2014, and we've done it for hundreds of people from all walks of life. So I know that what I'm going to share with you here over this extended training period is also going to work for you as well. So here's what we're going to do over the next, there's going to be 3 days. This challenge really consists of 3 days, one today, part 2, part 3. And you're basically going to learn the blueprint to building your real estate empire. So what we're going to cover here in part 1, which is today, is the secret to scaling with real estate. I'm going to present hopefully extremely compelling arguments why you won't be able to scale with single-family house investing, and that the best way to do it is with multifamily real estate. I'm going to introduce you to something called syndications, which is a fancy word of how to use other people's money to buy real estate. And what is a syndication? How does it work? It's going to be all about why I believe multifamily is the fastest and easiest way to become financially free and build wealth. You'll join me for part 2. It's called the roadmap to financial freedom with apartments. And what I've found is that seeing a clear path to financial freedom is very important if you actually want to start now, right? Because if you're not clear about this path, then why would you start anything right now? So I want to create, again, clarity, because I believe that once I show you a clear path to financial freedom, you'll want to get started now. So we're going to take your freedom number that we're going to work on today here in part 1, the amount of money you would need each month to quit your job, and we're going to reverse engineer that so that you can become clear about how long it will take to cover your living expenses with real estate. And like I said, I believe that once you see this clearly, you're going to want to drop everything you're doing right now and get started. But just wanting to scale is not enough. The truth is that most investors don't scale because they take a single family house investing mindset and they think that they can be successful with commercial real estate, and it just won't work. So I'm going to show you the one thing you need to do differently that will make all the difference. And that one thing is to develop what I call a scaling mindset that will make everything easier and more fun than single family house investing. You'll learn all about our scaling mindset in part 2 of this challenge. And so if you're considering starting something new, you're going to have questions about the market. I'm going to explain what's going on in the market right now, why I believe it's an incredibly good time to get into this business. So I'm really excited about to share that with you. And so that's part 2. And it's going to be all about basically why now is the time to scale. Why is the time now right in the market, but also why is it time for you right now versus waiting a year or two, or maybe doing what you're doing right now? Because I don't want to just get you excited about multifamily. That's cool. That's gold today, but I want you to take action. It would be a shame if you spent 3 days with me and didn't take any action. So in part 2, I'm going to try to convince you to take action now, not next year or the year after that. And so hopefully I'll get you all excited about getting into multifamily business now. Then you're probably going to have some questions about how to do it. And that's what part 3 is going to be all about. In part 3, I'm going to cover in detail how to do your first large multifamily deal, and with an emphasis on using other people's money. So we're going to cover other important things like how to find and analyze deals and talk to brokers, but we're going to spend most of the time on how to raise capital from others to fund your deals, because I already know a lot of you don't believe you can raise money. And I'm going to show you that, in fact, you can. And just because you've never have done it doesn't mean you can't do it. Because I know this because hundreds of people have done it. I know that you can do it as well. So not only is raising money a game changer, but it's also easier than you think you can do it right now. So today's going to be all about why multifamily. Part 2 is why now, and part 3 is going to be about the how. Now, before we get into the details here, just a quick disclaimer today. Because the lawyers make me do this, if you're going to buy or invest in real estate, there's going to be risk. Now, I would argue if you don't buy real estate, there's also a risk as well. But I don't know your personal situation, so I can't give you actual personal advice. So please consider what I'm about to share here today for educational purposes only. If we haven't met before, my name is Michael Blank. I'm the host of the Financial Freedom with Real Estate Investing podcast, also the author of the best-selling book on Amazon by the same name. It's got the same cover. It's got over 1,600 reviews. Also, my investment company, my partners and I own over $300 million of real estate, and that is in that business as well. Now, you might be wondering, Michael, if this is impressive, but if you're such a great investor, why in the world are you teaching people? Well, okay, it is true that it's easier and more profitable to buy a $20 million building for myself and my partners than teaching others how to do it. And in fact, I have been criticized for not focusing exclusively on the investment side of the business. But here's the thing, for me, it's not nearly as fulfilling. Not nearly as fulfilling for me to help others do something they didn't think could be done. Buy a multifamily deal, to raise money, and then they'll do their first deal and they quit their job within a year or two. I love that. That's why I wear the shirt, and I wear it a lot on my podcast, and I'm also wearing in this photo here. And so since 2014, my team and I have helped hundreds of students purchase more than 15,000 apartment units worth over $1.6 billion. And as a result, we've helped hundreds of people achieve financial freedom. All right, so quick thing before we start, there's actually a workbook here that we have for this training. So if you go to realestateempire.co/workbooks, or just scan it with your phone, you can have, it's a PDF, and you can just kind of follow along. I will reference the workbook as we go along, so you're kind of just following along a little bit. And I found that if you want to print it out and you write things down, or you take a notebook and just write things down, there's about 10 key points I want to leave with you. I find that when I write things down, I retain things a little better. So use it as a tool, the realestateempire.co/workbooks, or just scan that QR code, should get you there as well. And then just follow along. Let's get started. So we are going to start with what financial freedom means to you so you can begin to visualize it. Again, I'm all about clarity. I want you to become clear about many different things, and that is financial freedom. Because a lot of people say, oh, financial freedom, I can quit my job, I can travel. Okay, but what does it really mean to you? What does it really look like? We're also then going to determine your freedom number. I referenced it earlier. How much do you need from real estate to quit your job? Because throughout this training, we're going to reverse engineer that number, so you know exactly how long it will take to get there, and also what it's going to take as well. I'm going to then share with you very compelling reasons why multifamily is the easiest way to financial freedom, easier than any other investing strategy you may have tried or are considering. And I'm going to give you an introduction into how syndications work and how they can be used to raise millions of dollars and how lucrative it can be for you. And I think I can probably convince you that multifamily is the best way to scale, but I also know you're going to push back on me. So I'm going to talk about the two major myths of apartment building investing, the two reasons I know you're going to come up with going, no, this is not for me. It's an advanced strategy. And that I call them myths because they're actually not really true. And so I'm going to challenge you on those limiting beliefs. So hopefully my goal here is to kind of move the needle on what your thoughts is around multifamily and maybe some other strategy you've considered as well. All right, so hopefully by now you start to shift a little bit how you think about financial freedom in real estate. It's not just about making more money, it's about building a life you actually want. So in the next video, we're going to take that vision a little deeper. I'm going to walk you through a powerful exercise that's changed my life and the lives of many other of our students. It's called Your Perfect Day. We're going to start putting shape to your version of freedom, not just what it looks like, but how it feels. And it's the first step to designing a plan that actually fits your life, setting the stage for your plan, right? And so it's got to be, before we get into the actual tactics, we got to be clear about what we're actually after, what financial freedom really looks like. So don't miss this next video. It's short, but it's one of the most impactful exercises you'll do in this entire training. So let's get into it.